let's call the meeting to order. Can we use a roll call? Korth? Yay. Ryan? Here. Miller?
Here.
Kozowitz?
Here.
Deckard?
Here.
The approval of the agenda. You guys take a moment and look. Do you have that in front of you, Jason?
I do.
Awesome. Any changes to the agenda?
For me.
Motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
Second. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's move along. Old business, updates from Vista Works. How are you, Brian?
I'm fine. I think Lindsay's gonna be supposed to talk. So.
Yeah, I'm just turning my camera on. It was slowing my computer down a little bit, so I turned it off. But yeah, I'm prepared to give an update. Happy to do it. I have some notes here. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone for approving the marketing budget at the last meeting. That allowed me to develop a more detailed marketing plan that has the goals and KPIs and tactics in them. It fleshes out all of our projects in more detail. And so now Marty will as a guide for the year. And once we have that totally approved, Shane and I will look at it tomorrow, then that will be pretty set to share with the group for anyone who's interested in seeing it. And also thanks for supplying Jim with some of the PR information for the What's New for Summer pitch. He got that out to the CTO team. So I really appreciate all your involvement. So Marty and I have scheduled bi-weekly meetings that are always the day after this meeting. So it's on Wednesdays. On the, I think we're at this, on the second Wednesday, it would be, and the fourth Wednesday. I prepare a fully fleshed out meeting deck that goes over everything we've done, everything that's in progress, any questions we have. Once we start collecting data on the website, we'll have data reports in there as well. That meeting deck can also be shared with the group. I'm not going to go over it all in detail now because it will take an hour, and I don't think that you have an hour to listen to me. So I'm going to just pull out some nuggets and share those with you as well. But know that that will also be available to share. And once we wrap up, or once Marty and I wrap up our meetings, if it's okay with her, I'll just send it to the whole group, and it's available. A couple of things that we've done since we last met that I think would be of interest to the group is we have developed a marketing request form, and I think I overheard Marty, were you passing out a paper copy of it? Yeah, okay. We now have, it is now, the ultimate goal is for it to be a form on the new Visit Trinidad, Colorado website. We'll add that once the website is live. But in the meantime, what we've done is turn it into a Google form. So we have a link for it, so it can be shared with whoever wants it. The next step is to get the word out to the community that if they want any sort of support, whether they have a lodging deal or a dining deal or they have a really great event, maybe another example. Anyway, whatever they have that they feel is worth promoting, they'll have an opportunity to share that information with us. As I mentioned before, that gets put in our marketing funnel. I'll receive that form, Marty will receive that form, and our operations manager, Kirsten, will receive the form. She's the gatekeeper for that whole system, if you will. Once she gets it on calendars if it's an event, she gets it to the social media team if it's something that needs to be a organic social. If it's worth something that could potentially be advertised using ad money, we can get it to the Google Ads team or the social ads team. So she'll take that information and really determine the best place for it. So that form is a really great starting point. Speaking of social, we have your organic social media team on board. Again, you're waiting for that budget to be approved, so you talk to them and get them rolling with the Trinidad group. We have an onboarding meeting scheduled with Marty on Friday where we go through all the details on kind of who the audience is, what sort of attractions do we want to promote, what sort of resources do we use for promotion. Something that I would love some feedback on is part of that is connecting with some local social media groups where this social media team can get a really good sense of some other things that are happening in the community. So sometimes it's a mom's group, it's a business group. I think, I don't have it in my notes. Do you have a Facebook group called Trinidad Chatter? Is that you? Is that sound familiar to anyone?
Yes, that is.
Yeah,
that's the biggest one.
I can do that.
That's
So we'll start to gather all of the items together, and that will begin on Friday. The other thing we've done in the interim is start using your media library as a source for potential posts to at least begin with. You'll get 12 posts on Instagram and 12 posts on Facebook every month, and there'll be a combination of reels and carousels and single static photos. So, in combination with that, if you remember, in the budget, there was a line item for a content creator, and this is another item that I could use some feedback from the board with. The content creator is someone local that we pay to go out and shoot the things that are happening now. It doesn't have to be a professional photographer. In fact, we prefer this content creator to not be. We want somebody that wants to just go out and explore Trinidad and knows all the neat little spots. They can capture their experience. Again, it can be rough. In fact, we prefer for it to be rough because that's what performs well. We have a line item to pay this person. They'll meet with us each week. We'll discuss content ideas, what's going on, what's worth showcasing in the next, month. Let's go out and shoot it. And this makes your social relevant and timely. It also aligns with what's trending. Social media trends come and go very quickly, and if we have someone live, we can say, this style of shot is really popular right now, let's get one right now. So that's something that if anybody from the board knows somebody locally that might be interested in a position like this, please let me know. We have resources that we can reach out, but recommendations are always preferred. I'm talking a lot. Am I taking up too much time? Any questions? Okay, because I can keep talking. You just need to tell me when to stop. We also developed a 420 poster. I think that festival is still on. I think for a hot second it was questionable, but it sounds like it's moving forward. There's no obligation to use the poster. We had somebody on our team who had some creative energy and wanted to do it, and so we said go for it. And I think that drives the group so everyone had a chance to see it.
Yeah, and we updated the tiny bit as well, but waiting on the information about the festival that we can just plug it in and talk to you guys.
Alright, so in order to get that done, I just wanted to double check before I shared it with the festival's organizers. I just want to make sure you guys were okay with me sharing what you created with the people who are actually organizing the festival.
Yeah, fine with us. I hope they like it.
I'm
I thought it was
sure
cool.
I liked it.
We're in touch with KRCT, the radio station. Trinidad Tourism has, or the county has a contract with them through the end of June. what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna meet with Marty tomorrow. Marty, we're gonna do this tomorrow. And choose the topics that we want promoted each month through the end of that contract. And we're gonna write some unique copies so that it's fresh every month. And that can be dependent, on whatever is worth promoting at that time. Maybe it's event focus, maybe, there's a certain activity or, whatever it is we want to do. But this way, there's new content and it's relevant to the time of the year, and we'll see how those go. And then finally, Marty, I think this is on your agenda as a separate line item, so maybe I should wait. I know that there was a request for funding for the gravel adventure guide folks. They have a marketing proposal, and Main Street Live had a marketing request as well. And I did quite a bit of digging and kind of probably too lengthy reply on what we should potentially do with those folks. And I think, Marty, that might be a separate line item in your agenda.
It is, yes.
So maybe I'll just hold off when we get to that. I don't know if you have the written copy or not, but I'm happy to lend some thoughts and feedback on that. Yeah, but that's just an overview of everything we're doing. There's a lot of little other detailed items that we're working through with Marty, but without me talking for an hour, I will not go into all of it. But all of that will be available for you to view in that meeting that Marty and I tomorrow. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
I think that all sounds great. One question that I had, which is partially from Marty as well, is just the content library that has been shared out. How recently has it been reviewed or checked through? Just in case there's anything that's old or outdated that we don't want to promote, RFK or Blues Fest content, that just for an example.
Yeah, and I haven't shared any of that stuff, and they're aware that those aren't viable assets anymore, so, yeah, we probably should go through that.
I also want to add that, that's a great, I think I didn't hear the question totally, but I think I got the gist. Marty and I will discuss anything that's getting promoted. We're going to outline it, but also for social media, for all your organic social media, nothing will get published until Marty or I approve it. So there is an approval process for every single social media post that goes out. I know that can be the one. There's so much content that goes out that that's where things can slip through the cracks. But we have a process in place that everything has to be approved.
So I might develop a storage folder for those types of assets that we aren't using them. But like she said, nothing's going to go out that we don't know about.
Cool. Yeah, that's all. Just make sure nothing super old gets posted.
But we do need some new digital assets, for sure. A lot of the assets that we have are low res, so we need higher resolution type stuff. Depending on the size, I have some large photos that are only 96 dpi, but once you reduce the file size, then it increases the dpi. But some of them, I really need some new shots.
Forgive me, I may have missed something, but didn't we hire somebody to take some pictures?
Since those meeting minutes were approved, is the contract with Jeff Montoya on now?
I already got his invoice, it's already rolling. So yeah,
Okay, awesome.
Jeff's approved, yeah, he's good to go.
Okay, great. Do we have any idea when the deliverables might come in?
He was gonna he was gonna start with some photos of the IRL and the Winterfest. So I'm just waiting for him to send me photos for that. And then he also had some photos in a file that he shared that actually already belong to the city. So I actually have access to those two. So building a asset folder right now.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any more questions for marketing?
Just that we should add in an agenda item or just be thinking amongst ourselves on who that on-the-ground content creator person could be. If you see anybody on social who seems to be good at it. You know, I also want someone who's reasonably skilled and knows what they're doing and what type of video to be shooting. So just be thinking about that.
So we're talking video and photo, right, Lindsay, for that content creator?
Yeah, this person doesn't manage the posts at all, they don't engage, they don't create the final content, if you will. Like, if you can picture a final reel, has the music, and it may have some content overlays. This person doesn't have to create that. This person meets with us each week, and we talk about, hey, this restaurant is doing something really cool, let's shoot that. This museum's got a new exhibit, or like, I was on this trail yesterday and the wildflowers were amazing. They go out and they just shoot their experience there, they take some video, they take some photography, and they dump it in a folder for us. And so that's
just with their phone, no big high def
Right.
broadcast cameras or anything.
Yes. I think the most successful, we have this arrangement with a few other clients, the most successful partnerships are those folks that love where they live, they know what's going on, and they just want to go out and have a good time. They want to experience everything, and they want to share it with people. So the, people that are enthusiastic about hiking and going out to dinner and just living life in Trinidad, those are the folks we want.
Just looking at any releases, aren't you? I just remember experience with the Winterfest. We had somebody call and say, hey, she didn't ask for permission to take our photo at the restaurant, so we had to take them down.
Is that an issue, Lindsay?
Taking photos of people at restaurants?
No.
Oh,
A photo release or model release?
I haven't run into it with this type of project with a content creator.
well, if you've got a restaurant that has something cool going on and somebody takes a picture or video, look at how full they are. You have people who go, I didn't give permission for my photo.
They're public.
That's what happened with the Winterfest.
So
Agreed.
I'm going to lean on the experts with this one. I can ask our social media team what their thoughts are on that. They have a better answer than me.
I'm pretty sure when you enter it, and it's, you literally pass your right up for that. And there's a lot of photo or video.
I haven't run into that issue with any of my clients, with somebody, kind of pushing back on that, but that's not to say it wouldn't happen, so.
Depends on if they have enough stuff to complain about for that day.
Yeah.
They will complain if they
Yeah.
haven't complained enough in that day.
Well, if you go in and shoot something and that person says, hey, I don't want to be in here, then we just don't use that footage.
Right.
Like,
Could we just
So-
blur out their faces?
there's so much creativity in this content creation that you don't even have to have background people in it. So I think it's easy to avoid an issue were to arise.
Any more questions for Lindsay? No? All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. Funding request, first up is A.R. Mitchell. Allison came to see us.
How do we want to approach these? Meaning, we're gonna roll into budget allocations as part of the work session, the second half of this meeting. So, we've had these presented to us. I don't know if we want to make a decision one way or another until we get to the budget, or I guess we could just say, out of these 5 things on the table, we like these 3, and think we want to give them money,
So my confusion is a lot of these requests are requests for marketing monies. It's rolled into their entire request. So they want X amount of dollars to do social media, or they want X amount of dollars to do posters, or they want X amount of dollars to do some type of marketing or advertising. Can those pieces be pulled out and have Destination IQ roll forward with those for them, and then look at what is left for general operations, and maybe separate the two and fund general operations with the festival funding line item that doesn't fall into marketing and advertising.
I
I don't think
actually,
we should use the funding for that.
Sorry, we don't think we should use, what did you say?
The festival funding for that, I think we can keep that to festivals, and that's super important. But like three of them, like AR, Main Street, Trinidad Triggers, I think that falls in under the community guidelines. I think all three of them came in with some kind of marketing aspect or angle, and I think they probably didn't understand that they didn't necessarily need that. But I think that all of those three fall perfectly under just our community, improvement guidelines as part of our new breakdown of the budget. So I think that's where those would fall.
yeah, I was gonna suggest that as well. In particular, the Mitchell and the Triggers, being more of the, like our other pots of money to work with, rather than being marketing advertising dollars.
I feel like the triggers, especially because if I'm remembering correctly, a large portion of her request was for like housing and room and board for the players, which is not marketing at all.
Right, no, I'm
So
saying
that-
each of them has a portion that is specifically marketed.
Going through AR Mitchell, every single one of her events that she has a request for has marketing. A couple of them, that's the bulk of the money will be marketing. So what do we do with that? Do we separate that? It's a new world, so we really don't know with the funding request now.
And I don't think Main Street is asking for marketing.
That community bucket, because that's what they fall under. I think if we keep this moving forward, everyone will understand that they don't necessarily, because before they would only be able to get marketing money. So I think that's why they all came with marketing proposals. But really, it's to fund the AR, to fund the triggers, to give their community assets and resources. But it fit under their well, even if some of it is for marketing, I think that's just the best place for it that we leave it in that.
So we're gonna be,
Yeah, this one's not under marketing.
we're gonna be pretty limited.
I have a quick suggestion. I wonder if it would be useful to outline the marketing services that the cities can now provide with us on board, so that when someone like the AR Mitchell Museum comes to you with a request, you can say we're not putting in individual marketing dollars, but for free, this is everything that you can get from us. And it's promotion on social, it's listing on the city calendar, it's listing on the state event calendar, and then maybe from that roughly $9,000 bucket that we have, we can allocate that towards whatever additional, whatever the board feels is worthy, maybe extra financial support to it.
And I think the general marketing fund is figured out as a whole and not any specifically, unless we want to.
May I ask a
But really is paying people to do that.
Just for my clarification, are there any limitations to nonprofits versus private businesses, or you just give it to everybody?
Well, we haven't given anything to anyone.
Yeah.
We're sorting it out.
Is that a requirement? No.
I don't believe there are any requirements. Anyone is able to apply for funds.
You can apply, if a fiscal sponsor can be a nonprofit. Okay.
You don't typically see, well, we've yet to really see private enterprise come to us and say, hey, I'm doing this event, can I get money for it?
Because the triggers are,
Triggers, yeah, that would be the one on this list. Yeah.
that's why I asked.
Although they almost feel like a private-public partnership. I mean, the city is supporting the renovations right now at the field, for example. I was just going to say, we're going to be pretty limited if we only look at the local arts and cultural programs budget line in terms of providing this funding. We have allocated $25,000 for the year for that. So we could easily blow through that with these 3 funding requests alone. There's almost no way we're going to be able to give everybody the total that they're looking for. And that's fine, that's why we're here to make decisions. But if we're only looking at that 25K pot, it's gonna be gone very fast. So I do like getting a little creative in terms of showing them the value they could get, leveraging VistaWorks. That's still only that additional $9,000 though, towards various projects and services. So just to kind of keep in mind, that's the big picture that we're looking at.
Yeah, Main Street Light probably would not benefit from trying to get information, doing something with them, because they have their own marketing meetings every week. They do their own marketing. Allison does a lot of it. It's not a lot outside. There's not a big expense. What she was asking for was some help with operations, sponsoring the show. So it's not marketing at all, to be honest with you.
Heating, lighting, asbestos covering, a bunch of different costumes, props. Just got a lot, she's asking
I don't remember how much she was.
20.
20. Yeah.
That's a lot.
In the old days, the old board would recommend an amount that we felt was fair and go from there.
Yeah, I think maybe let's refresh ourselves on what the ask is for each of these 3. And then we'll probably have to just kind of throw an amount on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, discuss it from there, I agree.
So I have Main Street Live is, the amount they're requesting is 20,000. I have, A.R. Mitchell, they have 3 different project requests. One is 5,000. Actually, they're each $5,000, there's 3 different ones. So she's asking 15 total. And then, let's see. Is there any?
Lucy?
Yeah.
Oh,
She used a different form, this is before we,
I don't think triggers actually have a total.
Yeah, I think you might be right. She just kind of
She just
presented
kind of
on.
said, this is what I need help with, but she didn't have an actual total. She was
reading
looking
the, for A.R. Mitchell. Character, oh, no, that's the. Yeah, she doesn't have anything.
she didn't have a total.
Okay.
She didn't go out of form, did she?
Oh, I do have it in the notes here. Proposal is for general marketing and advertising at the stadium and across all TV and advertising outlets. So that would be a $10,000 cost. And then the city of Trinidad is represented in the materials as well. So I think that's like a standard buy-in.
Making the city a sponsor
This is-
from that because she's losing sexy pizza, so they're gonna put the city of Trinidad logos on their,
I think tequilas is their major sponsor now,
okay.
in place of Six.
I also have a total of like 17,000, just under, for hotel stays on this page. In her record.
Yeah, so she might have thrown a few things on the table.
She's very much against the lodging tax.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then
they ask for a lot more than they really know they get.
Oh, Broward is.
Yeah, I think we'll get to that as the proposals next.
Yeah, that's different.
That's a different pot of money as well. So, once again, we've got $25,000 for the full year. These are the 3 requests that have hit us so far. There's a good chance that we see more later in the year. We probably want to leave a little bit in the tank
Yeah.
in case more comes to the table, especially Summer's around the corner, that's kind of a big time for
Or maybe
cultural events.
more, it's quarterly, right?
No, that's our
This is
annual
it.
budget.
Oh, that is
It's
annual, you
Yeah.
said once we get more, I thought you meant.
And there's
More
generally,
requests, yeah.
historically, in the previous requests that we've got for grants, we've seen up to probably $125,000 in requests.
Not surprising.
There's Arts Festival, there's Santa Trailer Days, there's, I mean, the list goes on and on.
Now, some of that could come from festival funding
Mhm.
for things that are exclusively festivals. It's hard for me to go above 5K for each of these because that's what
Yeah.
halfway through our shop already.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did, so.
I think that they're all worthy. The one that I'm hung up on is the triggers. I love the triggers, but how much money is the city dumping into that field right now? I think
Well, and it's not
It's over
specifically for
$1 million.
triggers either, it's also for the high school, and it's also for the college.
I know, yes, that's true.
It was, the stadium was done to be compliant with ADA. It was part of the Department of Justice's request, and that was one of our violations, so that's why it was there. I will tell you, they don't pay anything for the field. They don't pay utilities, they don't pay everything.
Everything's provided by the city.
Yeah, I mean, that is a sponsorship already, that's probably worth $10,000.
Yeah.
It's also used for, 4th of July, Independence Day celebrations. So it's used throughout the year for different community events, not specifically just triggers, but I see your point. I see, yeah.
So I wonder if we could throw her a bone, whether that's some nominal amount of money, like a lower sponsorship tier, if we wanted to, and then definitely link them up with Mr. Works in terms of some free marketing services.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a good thing for them to market.
Yeah, and that is a great combo tourism draw as well. So that's kind of where I would
Are you
close on the
thinking
triggers side.
3?
Yeah, or even, 2,500,
Yeah.
under $5,000 for sure though, yeah. Where it's like, here's a little bit of money, so we're still demonstrating we want to support you. And we can also get you advertising and marketing, and that includes like city accounts and things, but I'm sure that they could generate assets that the triggers could use, like a nice, season schedule poster or stuff like that.
Right.
Because honestly, their stuff is not always the best design-wise.
There was also a request to perhaps use the tourism van for transportation for some of the players of different types, so there was that request also. We haven't, I mean, that's on the table, we haven't decided how we're going to go forward with that, but that was an ask.
Does this board decide if somebody can borrow the bank or use it? Okay. I'm gonna say that.
No.
Getting a little bit
Yeah.
too.
But I'm just saying, that's another asset that we might be able to provide from the city standpoint.
Okay, so how do we feel about, just to start with, $5,000 for both the Mitchell and Main Street Live? Is that,
Okay, I will recuse from Main Street because I do direct shows over there and act. But if I was voting, I'd say
That's a slide, Chris.
So, what's the motion? Let's do one at a time.
well, let's discussion first.
Okay.
It's just, does that seem
Okay.
like?
Actually, your motion should be first, then your discussion,
Yeah.
how it should go.
Well,
Technically.
but I don't have a final number. I can say how do people feel about that number before we get
you
to
tell us
it.
who's the numbers.
I think you're on the right track, Joe.
Okay. Would we want to go higher or lower on either? If there was one that I would potentially raise, I feel like it would be Mitchell. No offense, Chris.
No, I,
It's a cultural gem, it's great for events, ties more into tourism, I think, than Main Street Live does, which does have tourist appeal, but I think it's more of a local thing to do than folks who are coming into town.
it's not a destination attraction, but it is part of the quality of life that we're trying to improve, that when visitors do come here, they go, oh, we got a
They
theater.
got a lot of theater.
We'll go.
Yeah,
And Mitchell, I think, might tend to be more of a destination, so,
Yeah.
no offense.
yeah.
Well, here's a question, would they be able to put in a second request later on in the year?
Anybody.
Either one of them. Can you, is it one and done per year, or can they?
We
There's
have
nothing in
rules.
writing that says it's one and done. Okay.
So Jason.
Right, that's what I was thinking,
See
I
what
feel like we start off, I feel like maybe we start off kind of what Joe was mentioning, and then, they could possibly put in another request throughout the year, depending on how our budget's looking, or they can put it in and we can decide later.
Sounds good.
That's okay.
All right.
Okay, so
A.R. Mitchell,
Can
what
I-
are you proposing?
So there is a request, a funding request form that I shared with Ashley that was put together by Cheryl and I, so that Logic Tax Advisory Board can make a formal funding request recommendation. So whatever your final decision is, will go on that funding request form. Just for clarification.
Got it.
Well, this goes to the council.
Okay,
Yes.
exactly.
Hold it up to the Al.
Just to go through it for Jason, the topics project or event, the name of the organization name, the name and title of the representative, a description of the project or event, the amount that's requested, how will requested funds support the tourism initiative, comments, and then attachments. They want a completed funding request form and the meeting minutes where we approve the expenditure. So if we decide today that we will fund, these guys will fill out one of these, and then we'll give it to Marty, and Marty will send it on to council, and then they'll take it from there.
Okay.
And then will the council notify them that they're getting the funds, or will it come back to us to
It'll
notify?
probably come to us and then we'll let Mark.
So who's gonna fill them out, Marty?
No, you will fill them out for each of the requests. Ashley will fill them out on your behalf. And, you know, after the motion is made and passed.
Do what?
After the motion is made to make a funding request for Main Street Live, A.R. Mitchell and Triggers,
Right.
a form will be filled out for each one of them by Ashley on behalf of the board. That form will be forwarded to city council, or will be given to city council at their next meeting.
Just walk on
You Ashley can present it, or I can present it, or whoever, Karen can present it, as our liaison for that matter. We can give it to her and she can present it to council.
I think our topic might be a consent agenda.
Right.
It's all new, so.
Yep, different process.
So for the A.R. Mitchell, what were you thinking, Joe?
Now's when you make your motion.
I mean, I kind of like where Jason was headed in terms of encouraging them to come back
Yeah.
like second half of the year. So as long as we present it in that way, probably start at 5. So motion to recommend allocating $5,000 of our local arts and cultural programs funds to the A.R. Mitchell Museum.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so let's see, the project or event. Does it have to be one of these specifically? Because she has filled out an application for several different exhibits. Each one is $5,000. Should we just grab one, or should we just say various exhibits?
Yes.
Yeah, use
Yes,
her
and then she
discretion.
can use it at her discretion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do
That way
that.
it's not designated for one specific thing, so she can use it as she needs it.
And, all right, so product event description, various exhibits.
So do we have a second on Joe's motion?
We,
Oh, we said it.
Okay. Oh, you did vote?
has been approved. So that'll be 5,000.
And that's out of local arts and festival funds?
Local arts and cultural events.
Is that where we feel Main Street
Cultural,
belongs as well?
cultural programs, sorry. not events.
From which one? One more time. Local,
Local arts and cultural programs.
Do we feel this is where Main Street belongs in that bucket too?
I think so, yeah. So it's either that or it's festival.
Okay.
I don't know that it would be festival.
In the arts.
Would be arts.
Okay, well, I make a motion to recommend $5,000 under the arts and cultural budget for Main Street Live.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then one for each.
Alright. So we are going to do that one as well. We will get this streamlined.
And then, a motion to allocate $2,500 from the local arts and cultural programs funding to the Trinidad Traders.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
You said 2,500?
correct.
What is that, what is it, balance, and then, okay.
So that'll be,
12.50?
12.5, yeah,
12.5.
so half.
That and what we're passing on to,
Schultz.
destination for,
H.
is that what we're just doing?
No.
Is what we're doing.
And then
For them to spend
destination
as they see fit. So, Marty, when you start communicating that out, if you can just make sure that they're aware that we're able to provide the additional services in the form of marketing and
Marketing,
advertising. And just, a couple notes on what that might entail in terms of social posts or some type of design work, that type of stuff.
Right. So I'll attach that second form that you have there from Destination IQ.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. And they can make it around on that. We may want to add a future agenda item just to specify how much we want Destination IQ to focus on each of these three. Because we have that $9,000 worth of billable hours, and so we might want to say, don't go over X amount for the triggers, for example. Cool.
Alright, so anything else on that? I'm gonna get over voting.
So we're on to advertising proposals.
Alright, next up, advertising proposals. Now's where we're, talking about the gravel guide. Lindsay, are you there?
So
Yes, I'm here.
did you also have something to add on, the other proposals that I shared with you?
I have currently reviewed and have a detailed overview of the gravel guide and Main Street Live. The other two I think we'll discuss tomorrow.
Okay.
So I can go over, I'm pulling it up with that. But I have all of this written down. Again, I'll summarize because it's quite a bit. So the gravel cycling guide proposal is broken into 3 parts. So the first is to have this gravel cycler, this biker, Benzolini, ride in Trinidad for 2 days, and post a video about his ride on YouTube for $5,000. The second is an advertorial on the Grativist, which is an article that works kind of like an ad, plus photography for $3,000. And then the other is a short film from the Gravel Adventure Field Guide books for $13,000. So I have a full write-up, which Marty, I don't know if you shared that with everyone or not, but I'm happy to share that if you're interested. But to summarize, the $5,000 for the video. So I go into this film YouTube channel, and the numbers that the Gravel Adventure guys gave, they're a little conflated because if you look at the type of content that he's putting out and where his numbers are really great, they're in his beer reviews. That seems to be what he's pretty well known for. I think I actually gave some examples. So his recent beer review, which is a tire review, it got 44,000 views and 179 comments. That's great. But if you look at this section for his rides and the places he goes, I actually found one of the more recent ones was actually Trinidad, and it only got 4 comments and 2.7 thousand views. So for $5,000, that's a lot of money and traffic. If you are a gear company and offer this to review your product, I would say go for it. But for this type of content, I don't think that it's worth the $5,000. I also suggested an alternative. So if you want to promote your gravel guide and all the rides, we can do that within our social media program without any additional funding needs. So the way that Gravel Adventure works is that every one of your rides is digitized somewhere. I know they've used Ride with GPS in the past, but I think they use a different platform for your rides. I forget the name, I looked it up. But it's another GPS-like platform. You can link to at each individual ride and use all the rides information. Let's say you have 12 rides in your guide. We could do 12 social media posts and have a content creator for 1 month that is a gravel cycler and have him or her go in and have these rides, and we get firsthand the content in Trinidad on all these individual rides, and we can link to these individual pages. So we can promote it that way. And that's also, maybe that's like Mary who's down the street or John who's like never been on a gravel bike before, and he's doing it for the first time and he loves it. And that content is more relatable and likely to get some traffic. So in addition to giving feedback, I also wanted to present some alternative ways to achieve a similar goal. The next item, the number 2 item, is this advertorial for $3,000. If you do want to do something with folks, this is the one that I would recommend. It's the least expensive of the list. But the nice thing about advertorials is that they live forever. We can put links into them. Let me see what else I have in here. Why I think this. Oh, the Grativist, which is the publication that they would put this on. Their social engagement is really great. So if they post the article there and they tag Trinidad properly, you can get some cross traffic. You can leverage their audience to gain some traffic on the actual Trinidad social pages. So for $3,000, it'd be a program that would be worth investing in. The other, last, I had a $13,000 video. $13,000 is just a lot of money. It's like you have to really think a lot before you spend it. You know, we're not Vail or Aspen. We can't throw out 13K, but, you know, without thinking carefully about it. So, and something to point out with these gravel adventure folks is they produce a great product, but they brand it in their face, their brand. They don't brand each guide individually to the city that it's in. So in a way, they're kind of leveraging you to promote themselves. So their video is going to be branded for their company, and you'll be part of it. And so to spend $13,000 on a lengthy video that I also assume, I think is this the one that goes from Boulder to, I'm trying to read my notes.
No, this one would be shot on site down here.
Okay. But I know that they're doing the full ride. This is the 20-minute video.
I think that was the first one, Lindsay. I think the $5,000 was the first ride.
Yeah, this one
Okay,
is
the
like,
That's the 20.
it's
Yeah.
basically a follow-up
Is it
to one they've already produced. So it would be like a 2 or 3 minute video in like a Wes Anderson kind of style.
Yeah. So that Wes Anderson style that's Bluetooth, that's their
shit.
right?
Yeah, totally.
So I would rather spend $13,000 and get a really high quality production company to come down and do a promotional video of the entire city rather than grab the same thing. That to me, that's a better spend. So of those three, and if you wanted to partner again with the gravel adventure folks, again, they do a great job. I understand why you want to partner with them again. I would recommend that second option to do the advertorial, but I would steer clear of the other one.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Yep.
Yeah, one thing I do want to just throw out there is, this doesn't mean that we have to spend a boatload of money with these guys, but I don't want to burn those bridges. So I think we have to be smart about how we approach things like, if we have Destination IQ go out and put a bunch of content together that has these routes featured, we have to make sure that they're getting shout outs and getting credit, like, boom, right away up front. So, like, this is part of Gravel Adventure Field Guide, how they came down here. Long's relationship with the city is contentious already. We were the first gravel guide, and I'd like to keep that momentum and not have him nuke it out of for whatever reason. So that's all is just something to keep in mind, so he doesn't feel like we're co-opting his work, whether we pay for it or not.
On that gravel guide, when was that published?
First one came out in 21.
When's the latest one?
I don't think they've updated.
Yeah, okay. So how many trails do you think have gone in since then?
Well, so these are all county road routes. So they're just curated routes. People come to town and go like, where should I ride my gravel bike? And that's just out on public county road. So new routes could be developed, and I think that would potentially be a more interesting thing to pay them to do, is to do a guidebook update. It would still be expensive though, so I don't know if that happens this year. But I think I do generally agree with Lindsay. Radis Advertorial is great. That website is extremely influential and very popular.
That's number 2.
That's number 2.
Yeah.
So that way, we are still giving Gravel Adventure Guide some money, showing them that we want to keep backing them, that we respect the work they've done and fortune that. We get to make a little more noise about our existing field guide and kind of just reminds their readership that Trinidad exists.
Well, I went to that travel adventure show. I think I had the most I had of anything was the gravel books, and that's the first thing I ran out of.
Yeah,
They were really
they're
popular.
super popular. I know we have a good amount left, but
We do, but it's dated now, because it was sponsored by Sexy Pizza, it was, it's dated.
yeah. So if we
The
went,
content is still
yeah,
good, but the pieces.
if we went back to the board update, that's another thing that the whole thing could just get a little refresh. So I would expect that once again to be a cheap endeavor, but if we want to revisit the field guide folks, that might be a good angle to take.
It will help you with the reproduction of the second.
Yeah. And maybe they can even work in some of this as part of that. So, yeah, I mean, how does everyone else feel about the advertorial? Season's around the corner. We do have, the first race will be in April. It's on 420 actually. So, starting to put that out in consciousness. Riders are going to look at places to
The
ride.
first time we talked about it, we felt kind of the same, where we didn't know about the short film or the influencer, but we were kind of, we should do advertising.
I'm rather ready to go.
We still may want some level of fresh content to provide to the Redditist. So maybe we just let Gravel Ledger Field Guide know we're interested in that option and see what else we might want to do to make that like a newsworthy advertorial, because they need a reason to write about us too, even if it's getting paid for. Instead of just saying, Trinidad's great for gravel, right? Like you want to have something in there like, here's a cool new video of somebody down there shredding or whatever. So maybe we could collaborate, testing Snark you and the gravel guide folks to maybe they work together.
So how do we move forward?
Well, I would motion to approve that $3,000 expenditure, which is gonna come out of our marketing and advertising funds, but I'm not sure exactly which area yet.
Are we doing that for this?
Second that.
No, okay.
This will come out of the advertising marketing, they have, is
This
it
would
on
be
there?
this would be an ad buy.
I would be,
Lindsay, what do we have in our advice then that we could use this, where we could pull this $3,000 from, or in our advertising and marketing budget?
Without pulling it up, it would come out of that bucket, that 9,050 is what we have in the bucket. And I can update that if that's what he wants to move forward to do.
Yeah, it's a decent chunk.
I think it's one of the best things we can spend our money on right now, investing in gravel. We already have working that we're viewed positively on, and it's growing, so I think investing into that is $3,000 in payoff in full on the end of the summer.
April alone, you have the Huff and Puff for the 420, and then you have Pony Express, I think that's next week. So there's 2 gravel rides in April already.
One of them's on the same day as the work one.
Yeah.
it's called Puff and Puff.
No,
that's
actually, I take
5K.
that back, that's
That's
5K. My bad. But the Pony Express is that one, same one.
So Joe, I'm sorry for repeating your motion one more time for me.
Motion to allocate $3,000 of our ad buy budget. Well, I guess it would be miscellaneous marketing requests towards Gravel Venture Field Guide advertorial in the Gravis website.
I second.
Second.
Any more discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, so that was that one. The next one I have is the weekenders. Did Pat Howard send anything for them to review? No? So I don't guess we have anything.
But just based on his, presentation, I think his ask was,
I think it's 3,500
was it 3,500 for one,
for a year.
for a year?
36, wasn't it, 36?
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
For the first 3 years.
3 times 12.
300 a month.
Do you remember what size ad that was?
Is
it a block ad?
Let me check on this.
Wasn't he talking about it maintaining what we had under?
Or we can,
Yeah, it was a small block ad. On the back page.
$300 a month, 3,600 total. Yeah, I don't have the size of the ad listed in the minutes.
So I would like to move forward, but can we get more information?
yeah, could we just kick it to next meeting? So he can get us something, because wasn't he gonna get like a whole proposal, is he gonna write it out? Yeah,
Yes, if that's the highest advertised cost city, maybe there's a more affordable option. That's like front page and center of like, that's the most expensive app. I know, because I buy it. There's definitely like $100, $200 options too.
Okay, so there's the size of the ad.
Gotcha.
That's right, you also.
and this comes out every weekend, then, or is it just once a month?
I would really like to get their input on it, but they can't give us input on it because they don't have information. Please.
Lindsay, did I share the weekender proposal with you?
Sounds familiar. I spoke through all of our communication today. I might have missed it and putting together our meeting agenda for tomorrow.
The
Um,
feedback that I got for you previously was that you were going to, that you would stand by local advertising to support local advertising,
Yeah,
remember?
they said that last time.
Right.
And I thought that came out of a different budget too. Didn't it, Joe? Didn't you said something like that can come out of another budget item because it's about supporting local businesses or something? Was there? I don't remember what that was.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that.
I don't know.
I think the only one we talked about was this one and the radio. The other main
Yes.
advertising local is
And
the
it had to do
Chronicle,
with-
and I just assumed they were running out of them again, so.
Oh, maybe it's Joe, you
Just
just said, I
personal.
believe in supporting local businesses. Maybe. That sounds- Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like.
I am, however, not wild about this in terms of our actual goals as a board. So, not in favor, I don't think, of the 3,600.
Now, the thing he did say at the end, that he was trying to tie it into tourism, is that when people stay in the hotels here, that's what they look at. to see-
Yeah, that was the best point he presented, in my opinion, was just like, yeah, it doesn't get people here, he kind of conceded that, but once they're here, they pick up a weekender to see what to do around town. So, I don't know.
my memory is triggered with me. So the gentleman for the weekender made a presentation at the last meeting.
Yes.
So, thank you. It's like, I know it was something, I just, my memory. I also did a little research on it while he was presenting, and I remember being very underwhelmed by the way that they present themselves online, which I know that print is also important, but we're in an age where if you don't have a good online presentation, then I'm not going to invest either.
It's a relationship issue too.
Yeah, I mean, this one is, is, yeah, more relationship driven and showing support for that local media outlet and what he's trying to do in the community. I wonder how else we could try and support it besides monetarily, or, yeah, I don't know.
Is that the only option? Like that, the amount that you gave us, is there?
Oh, yeah,
That's the
yes.
smallest size ad you get.
We also don't have to purchase a year's worth of advertising.
Right.
Like, we could sprinkle it in if we wanted to.
And I have Marty negotiate with him, we'll authorize, say, 2,000 or an amount to spend with him and say, what can we get for this? This is all, we, you know, our agency's not recommending you, which is
Maybe
okay.
maybe something quarterly,
Perhaps, yeah.
like
You can
1,200
print all the
instead of
upcoming events.
3,600.
And you can
Either
print-
Marty or one of us negotiate with him, but
Yeah. In the end, this probably would be a miscellaneous also. I'm not certain if we could fit it in anywhere else unless we're pulling from a budget that we've already approved in terms of our marketing spend. The one thing I think that we had kind of up in the air on the budget from VistaWorks was the CTO full page ad for 2025, which is 15 grand. So that is a large item that potentially we could free up. Lindsay, I don't know if you have a strong opinion on that one way or another. My recollection is just that you guys put it out there as a, working with the CTO has been good, we have done this ad in the past. They generally keep it in the budget. But yeah, curious about your thoughts on that full page ad as well.
Yeah, so we don't have to decide on a full page ad until the end of 2024. I'm not committed to it one way or the other. What I would really like is if we had some unique tracking URL on that ad so we can have a better idea of what is outperforming. That's the best way to track a print ad is we do, you know, it could be like explore Trinidad, Colorado, you know, own that and it gets forwarded to the Visit Trinidad, Colorado website. I don't know if the current ad has that, but we can maybe look into it and maybe we can change before it gets printed. $15,000 is a lot to spend on an ad. I don't know if you can tell I'm very conservative about spend, like for a single page and $15,000 is a lot. What I like, I think that we get mistaken. What I like from the CTO is their social co-op program, which we are investing in, but it's a much smaller spend. I think it's $2,000 for the social co-op, and it's a match. So the CTO puts in a portion of the total, and we put it with the total, so we're getting a better value. I can't say that about the print guide. I also don't have the latest stats on the reach of the print guide. I mean, they can tell us how much they distribute, but I don't know how many of them are getting picked up. But they can also do those, you know, they also share digitally, and we can get that number. We can know how many times the digital guide is requested. So if I can dig some of those stats, I can make a more informed decision. I think that's a lot of fun. You're learning now, like, now that we focus the budget up, you're seeing how fast, like, money can go, and I think what also has happened is the organizations and the businesses in Trinidad are used to coming to and asking for these large funds, which have traditionally gone out, and now those funds are being used for us to make a more informed plan and to especially get a larger reach by enacting some of these other programs. So you're kind of in this awkward position when you have these organizations that are expecting these large funds and you need to somehow figure out ways of, you want to appease everyone. So maybe you do that by allocating at 15,000.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning more and more that way, and then I wonder if we get to the end of the year and we really want to proceed with that, can we potentially spend some of the reserve money on it? So we can leave that option on the table. If we think that 15K is really worth dropping with CTO, we do still have a pretty good amount in reserve that we could pull out. I hate to use that as a crutch all the time, but we have been instructed to spend it. So that's okay.
And it will be, the lodging tax increase will be on the November ballot. The CTO ad is generally reserved at the end of August, 1st of September. So we won't know about the lodging tax passage until November. So the timing on that is a little bit off, it's skewed, but still.
Let me back up a bit. Where do we put, so our calendar of events, all the stuff that's happening, that's gonna go on our tourism webpage, or what's gonna?
Yeah, websites next, so.
Okay. Well, no, I wanna go back to the past, because what other source do we have for like a printed calendar? For people that don't use their phones, or don't like to, I just didn't know if that would be showing Pat love if we're not buying ads, but we're allowing him to print the calendar.
Well, he needs the money to be able to print it.
Oh, well, I know, but more people will get it if it has the calendar. Or, oh, I don't want to look on the website, let's just get this thing.
Well, he does that for a charge.
Yeah,
He prints his
That would
events.
be like the official.
that's really all that's in there.
Okay,
It's
sorry.
just event calendar and ads. So, yeah, I don't know, I still don't think I'd be in favor of the full amounts for that 12-month contract. But maybe we do something a little bit lower, operate on the assumption that we are going to use what's currently in the budget for that CTO ad for a few other things that come up like this. That basically, I mean, it more than doubles our miscellaneous funding, which looks like we're probably going to need.
So we want
I agree.
to go back and see if he can give us cheaper option.
So I say,
Or
sit down with you.
quarterly, or,
You want to table it then for,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
table it and then see if I can negotiate something smaller?
yes.
What would be your total amount that you would recommend?
I'd say, you know, it was what, 32?
It was
36.
$300 a month for 12 months.
Yeah, 1,500. I mean, that's less than half of it. Let's see what he can do. Tell him things are different, but we still want to support him, you know. Buying lunch.
There's a lot of empty space on this.
With Legends being gone, New Legends, this is going to be more utilized. Well, it just out of default, if nothing else.
So we're gonna get that.
So motion to table? Second.
You
No,
sure?
I can't make, I can't
I
make it.
make the same motion as what she said.
She made a
Motion to
motion.
table.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Alright. Next is update with launch date of new Visit Trinidad website. Do we have a launch date? No, okay.
What's the delay? Honestly.
Well, now I think VistaWorks is digging in on it as well, right?
Not until Anissa has certain, what she's done is she's created a new website design. And the launch date keeps getting pushed back because she hasn't had time to work on it. I'm almost at a point where it's like, can we just keep the existing website and just move forward?
Or get someone, tell her to find time and get on it. It's been, that's,
I mean, she
I've
just
seen
did.
the website, it looks really nice, did a great job on it. but we need to get them on. So I think we should, if this works, can help us. Again, no, it's not that far away, but this has been going on for over 6 months. Numbers coming up, and people start looking into their vacations over the next couple months. So I mean, we need this live.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think it's,
I appreciate everything that needs to be done, but it's super busy, so I think I hope to get this live. Can you help us this or?
Absolutely.
Give me one Kenobi.
yeah.
I need to, before I mean, we can jump in, I also need to assess to see the state of it. If it's like a very time-consuming project that is left, I don't know that it would fit in our current scope. We tend to charge separately for that type of website work. So we just need to see where it's at. But I've asked Anissa for access and I haven't gotten it. If she's willing to give that to me, then I can make that assessment.
She's on vacation.
Yeah, I think we need to do access.
Oh, yeah.
It's a WordPress right now. It's a new WordPress theme. And when I saw it 6 months ago, it didn't seem that far off. So I don't think it's a major undertaking. I just think it needs to run through and go live. And frankly, right now it's so bad that even if it's not complete, launching a new website is a significantly better option.
Yeah, I just need to see it.
Oh, let's get you access.
All right. We will see about getting access for them. Anything else on that line item? No? All right, new business, the Colorado Sun article. Jason?
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone saw the Colorado Sun article came out about Trinidad, and it was bad all. What I wanted to see is if we can get help from Vista Works somehow on getting the city out, try to deflect this. A lot of good positive things going on in Trinidad. And all the local media or the near-happy outlets don't highlight that as much. I think we could do a better job of telling everyone what's going on, you know, like, I think we missed a big opportunity, like Fisher's Peak, the Summit Trail opening, you know, and I think that's something we could focus on, some positive stuff in town, and just getting some press release out about good stuff going on, so with every article about us, it's not just all negative. So people that don't live in their home are seeing is the bad bickering stuff that goes on around here, none of the positive stuff.
So we can do a couple of things. So currently in play is all of our communication with this PTO in our department. And that's Jim will reach out whenever there's an opportunity. Or likewise, if there's anything new that's happening and you want us to share with them, just let us know. So that's a lot of unique fruits. What we can also do is create craft a story pitch and then start distributing that to some local journalists if they're interested in writing a story about it. My experience is that story pitch has to be super unique. These writers get a ton of pitches. The journalistic landscape shifted a lot during COVID. They're not, outlets aren't picking up as many stories as they used to. So for a journalist to put in the time, the story really needs to be unique and exciting. So, maybe the group wants to collectively decide what's a really cool angle that we want to focus on, or Marty and I can talk about it, and what sort of assets do we promote that support that angle. Then we can have our writer put a pitch together and distribute it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you get some interest. The other thing to think about or to consider is when you do get interest from a journalist and they come down, you often have to host them. So that means making sure they have lodging, that they have dining set up, and then you have people to show them around and to give them the experience that they have something to write about. And then even then, it's not a guarantee that the story will get picked up. Sometimes they'll come and say, I want to have this experience so that I can write my story pitch to my editors that they work with. So it's that second option we can do. it's a long game play, right? So the short play is like immediate, any news that's new, let's give it to the CTO. They're putting their press releases together constantly. They have folks that are coming to them constantly. For us to bring someone down to get something written, it's a long game. We can certainly do it, but it will take, sometimes it's a year before we see something published. So by the time we write the pitch, we get input, we bring them down, and they have to then do their pitching and get it picked up and write the story and get into that editorial calendar. So, but we can start it. Marty and I are meeting tomorrow. We can talk about what's, I think, I mean, this might not be meaningful to like counteract the Colorado Sun article, but if this 420 festival launches, that's a huge story. Because that hasn't been done at this scale, or what I imagine will be the scale. So that's the first story that we can pitch, but again, it doesn't counteract the negativity that was projected in the Colorado Sun article. I think what you're aiming for is like to showcase all the vibrancy that's happening in Trinidad, all the new assets that are happening, all the people that are coming here, and how do we format that into a story that's really unique and fun and that would garner interest, right? Anyway, so, but we can do both of those.
Anything else? All right, let's move on to review marketing request form, which we kind of looked at. That's the one that has, they made, they'll get you a link, Jason, so you can see it. Just says name, location, dates, time for their events, event contact information. They're asking for the target audience. If the attendees will be mostly female, mostly male, or about equal, and then some interests that your attendees are likely to share. For example, if you're hosting a rodeo, your attendees may also be interested in country music festivals or agriculture, anything that you think will help us find your audience. They want to know outside the city of Trinidad, where would your attendees be traveling from? And if you've advertised in the past, please tell us about your most successful endeavors. Please be specific. Magazine, radio, social, how often, how far in advance, how much you spent on the advertisements, etc. They also will need a great high-resolution photos to promote the event, and then a link to a photo folder or attach it. And then it has Ms. Lindsay's email address.
So Lindsay, did you want to speak a little bit on the marketing request form and how you see that being a useful tool for you to help us market everything in Trinidad?
Yeah, my goal is that this is a bridge where we get all the information from folks that want anything promoted in town. The forum will give us all the information that we need. What I think is the next step is to determine the best way to share this information with your local community, and how do we do that. And Marty, I have that on our docket to discuss tomorrow. We have the form, it's digital, we can just share a link, but where do we put that, and you know, how do we inform people of why to do it, what they get from it. So, and I think there are both avenues that we do that. You know, if someone's reaching out specifically for funding, well, that's an easy one. We can just reply directly and say, hey, this is how we're running our marketing now, and you know, fill this out, and this is everything that you can get from us once you fill this out. But maybe the question is, how do we make people aware that this exists and who wouldn't think to ask for support?
So I have a question, Lindsay. Given the delays that we've seen with the launch of the new website, is there a way to get this on the current website right now?
Yeah, I believe we can access to your current site. So it's currently a Google form, so at the very least, you can make a link to the Google form. That's super easy. If you have a form plugin on the website, we can build it directly into the website. But the fastest and easiest is we can just build it into the form.
Okay, let's plan on that for now.
Okay.
questions about the marketing request form?
Anything else on that out to the public?
Yeah, that's always such a tough nut. We see communication continue to come up as at least a perceived issue, right? And I don't know what the answer is besides putting it on Facebook. Like, for real though,
Sure, to the chat.
yeah, make sure it's disseminated on Facebook. We can put a flyer up. We've got some information boards and things. We could also circulate. It doesn't have to be a fancy flyer. It's just like we could probably even do 2 or 3 to an 8.5 page cut 'em and just go give them to businesses.
Start putting them out.
Yeah, just hand them out and say, hey, look, we're looking to spotlight stuff going on. Here's how you can do it if you want to be featured on city outlets. So I assume that whoever fills this form out likely be sharing it, obviously on social, but is there anywhere else that we would potentially do publications through? Or is this really just a social media exercise? It's fine.
Chamber of Commerce, send it out.
Okay. Voice of Trinidad, she's. Also, yeah. We can also give it to Network Council.
And the chamber probably can amplify this as well.
So Lindsay, in our meeting tomorrow, can we talk about maybe formatting something that we can put in print and start distributing by hand within the community and letting people know that there's the opportunity for marketing and advertising
Yes,
for events?
certainly, and I think we're creating its own separate page on the current website.
Right.
Making it this way,
Okay.
we outline if available, so.
So that's where we'll direct them is to the current website so they can download the form. Okay.
Any other questions on the marketing request form? Great. Let's move on to review funding recommendation form. We kind of went over it earlier, but I did fill these out if you guys want to take a look at them.
Well, that's what you just did.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm kind of filling them out.
and basically,
Yeah,
the reason behind Cheryl's wanting to have that is so that when she's processing purchase orders, so obviously there'll be a purchase order that will be generated for each of these grant or funding requests. And so she'll have backup for it. So, and then it'll go to, council for final approval or however that process works. And then she has something for backup for processing purchase orders.
Great.
And to let others know that we had a bit of a situation when the Lodging Tax Advisory Board approved the $12,000 for Smithsonian for Mr. Chapin. So there was some scrabble about that because he assumed that once the Lodging Tax Advisory Board approved that it was automatically $12,000 that he was receiving. And so it caused a little bit of a contentious situation because he was assuming that that was just, okay, so lodging tax approved it, so it's given.
Yeah, all of our things are technically recommendations.
Recommendations. So, anyway, that's what that's about.
I'm going to update my notes on that too, for our various allocations that we recommended today.
Thank you. Any questions on the funding recommendation form?
Makes sense. Is there somewhere we can, will that live on the shared drive as well, so we can go grab it, or even potentially fill it out digitally?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Any other questions? Jason? Got anything? All right, next topic is the 10-minute limit to visitor topics and requests. are limiting time. Do we want to limit time, and if so, is it 10 minutes? 15?
I like 10.
10? Okay, so
Yes, I just saw there's been a couple people that have come into meetings and taken up a lot of time. I'm not trying to deter anyone coming in and talking to them, but if we just have a limit on there, unless we decide otherwise, I think it would just be good to have some kind of standard. So people do an hour presentation, and we don't get that all topic. So that's really all this was about.
So do we want to make a motion?
Well, do we want to nail down our, force us to have a limit? Could we not make that judgment and just say when somebody wants to, says, we'll give you 10 minutes, at that time?
It should actually be a standing policy, just like city council has, a certain amount of time where they get to present. And then it's fair to everybody.
Yeah, and a second thing to consider is like, should people that are going to come and present need to be on the agenda? I know a couple people haven't been that come in. Maybe they should be on the agenda. If there's a 10-minute limit. As a standard. We can make exceptions, but let's start with a standard, and I think that'll just help keep us on track.
Agreed.
Good. Okay, so making a motion to have a 10-minute limit on visitors and to further that they're on the agenda. For this week.
Do you want those to be the same?
Yes.
Okay. And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Of adding visitors to the agenda with the 10-minute time limit? Say aye.
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 Sure.
Any opposed? Jeff, appreciate it.
I don't have fun with it, forcing people to be kind of punchy with their pitch.
Yeah, same thing is,
Well, if they know ahead of time they have 10 minutes, then they can
Yeah.
Yeah.
format their pitch a little bit.
Right.
would we
Get
have,
people prepared.
if they got to the end of their 10 minutes and they had like 10 words left, we're gonna,
We're actually gonna put in a trap door.
And they're just gonna fall through
Hit
it.
the button. Yeah. Beep. Don't
it
ask
takes
me where it
sort of
goes.
a limit,
That
but,
pass?
I don't know.
We,
It's a standard.
yeah, I mean, I imagine it's gonna be moderately loosey-goosey in practice, but it's just to encourage people not to give too much of our time. Since we're about to be here till about 8 p.m. today.
Okay.
We're almost through to the work session. Okay, so that was it on that one. Next is report to city council. So we're on the agenda for the 20th?
Of February, 6 p.m., yeah.
Next Tuesday, 6 p.m. regular meeting of the city council. We are on the agenda for that. Total we need 10, 15 minutes tops. Hoping it's not gonna be that long. Do you have?
The last report I did to council was probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It was long.
It
An
was.
hour and a half.
I'm not kidding you, it was an hour and a half.
Did you do that?
They're gonna have lots of questions.
They didn't ask any questions. I
Oh,
just
really?
rambled.
Okay.
No, there was really a lot to report on. There truly was. There was a lot to report on, so. I don't know how much time is allotted for your report, but I wouldn't make it too long.
I wouldn't either.
I don't really.
If it's you're just doing, it's an agenda item, they give you whatever.
Well, I mean, basically, you've heard everything.
I mean,
You just need to hit it.
I see you
Well,
guys.
it's a synopsis from the
easy
time the
because
lodging tax
I
advisory
don't have
board
to report on this.
began. What have you accomplished? What
Right.
are your goals?
Do
Basically,
you have that? Or do we need to do that?
I have a format for you. Did I send that to you?
So do others from the board need to be there just for support?
You can.
That would be great.
Maybe not to
You can
talk.
answer a question even, if they have one. But yeah, email me and I can make some time.
Okay.
Do you have time later this week? Like, or you're just not in your office?
I'm in my office. Let me give you some time slots.
do that and send me over and I will do that. I'm pretty flexible, it's been so slow.
Okay.
So it's not that hard for me to get out and do stuff.
All right, we'll work on that.
All right, shoot me an email.
Okay.
All right, that's it for that one then. Discussion of new meeting times is next on the agenda. I'm pretty open, so I guess it would have to be you guys that have that discussion and I'll just show.
That was for me. Sorry to everyone for the holdup. I have a new position that I'm doing from 4 to 8 Monday to Thursday, where I'm teaching a launchroom course about launching businesses. So that's really cool. It is right in the middle of our schedule, so this isn't too tricky for everyone. I'm available at 8:30.
Because we are using GoToMeeting at all our meetings now because of Destination IQ, I have to make sure that we have, that we're not coinciding with another meeting that's taking place. The other
We can
option,
add enough.
the other option is purchasing Zoom for these meetings.
What is the
Yeah, we can add
suggestion for
enough,
time?
on GoToMeeting, one way to do it, or to get a Zoom just for this, so we don't conflict.
You guys don't have Teams?
But I don't know if Lindsay does.
We also need to
We
consider
should be able to work out Teams.
Just do Teams?
Yeah, you should be able to set up a Teams meeting that, and send the invite to outsiders. They'll need the app. You can join on the web too, you don't even need to download the app.
Okay.
The only
I-
times
if
that
you
I can't do
need
is
help, I
during
can-
council since
Right, so council sessions, things
Yeah.
like that, that.
Monday
might have conflicts.
afternoons.
Well, we also
be here
need
to
to,
Tuesday nights. But you don't need me. I'm just, I can.
you're not.
The 20th. That's next Tuesday.
Excuse me, y'all, I'm gonna get
So
close.
throw in a couple of proposals and I'll make sure that we're not
Just
conflicting with
I'm
anything.
taking my things
Yeah.
home.
I'm open.
Anybody want?
I'm hoping I just can't do
Or at least
Wednesday
a
nights.
gift, a Christmas gift or?
I was supposed to have my
I
Christmas.
think my only other option would be like this general time on a Friday.
I don't.
Ooh.
Monday they didn't come,
Yeah.
I can't.
It have to be a happy
Live by myself.
You just won't post it
Yeah,
on
it's,
any
that's
website.
definitely unfortunate.
There's no
Well, I mean, I
Next
could
time.
maybe do like a, also like a lunch.
Yeah, lunch would be great, then that forces us to.
Good night, all.
Do.
Thank you.
Can
Thanks for
you
coming.
do a lunch, Jason? Lunch period?
And for
Okay, but if we're gonna do it on Friday, then we're gonna have food and drink. You don't have to come out of your budget, but it's just like.
Hey,
Get a sponsor.
Marty, I have
Get a
to jump
sponsor.
off. I have another event that I need to get to.
Okay,
But I don't think that there are marketing items or needs to be on the agenda. I just did it.
okay, before you go, they're discussing different meeting times rather than Tuesdays at this time. Is there anything that won't work for you?
I would say, find the best that works for the group. I have random meetings all the time, like I have a lot of various standing meetings.
Okay,
But maybe if you can come up with 2 times that work for the group, then I can make it work, so.
okay, is it
I
like,
do like the being during the day, because I have kids, and so in the evening it gets a little challenging.
okay, so maybe a lunch time would work for you? Like a 11 to 1 or something?
I think she has a Frenchie too.
Yeah, certainly.
Is that a Frenchie?
Dog back there.
Is that a Frenchie?
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
Lindsay.
you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Is it a terrier?
She must have had a date.
Yeah, alright. So, yeah, so I guess shoot out an email.
So two, you want me to do like maybe a,
Yeah, I mean, we're doing lunch, I could
Fridays.
maybe pull out Thursday also, Thursday, Friday around that time, potentially.
Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, and it has to make sure not conflict with any other city meetings since Tom has to be there.
Well, he technically doesn't.
He actually
have to
doesn't,
be-
we just had to record it somehow.
Okay.
Which to
More
go
than
to,
one
you
iPad.
could just,
Teams, yeah, teams
Yeah.
are.
Okay.
any of the
You can
web
record.
meetings, we could just
Okay.
record it. So that's all that's totally necessary.
Jason got bigger.
Yes.
Your pin is big.
Alright. Alright, so we will definitely have to get that worked out. So far I'm hearing Thursday or Friday at lunchtime.
So 11 to 1, wanna do 11 to 1? I mean, you can quit when you're done, but block that time?
Thursday or Friday, does it matter?
I'll check.
Thursday would be-
I'll check with my social secretary, but I'm pretty sure I'm open.
I'm sorry, Jason, what did you say?
I said Thursday would be preferential.
Thursday? So can we work that out now? Thursday, 11?
I'm gonna have to talk to my compatriot at the shop to confirm this before I can commit.
Just let us know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at my calendar too.
Cool.
Yeah, because this is open hours.
You guys just let me know where to be.
Same date,
Second and
Tuesday, I mean,
Uh,
you wanna do second
Second
and
and
fourth?
fourth?
Might as well keep the cadence.
Yeah.
Well, if we do that, that means we have one today and then one next Thursday.
Well, you can start next month.
Next one.
Yeah, when do you start, Jason?
Tuesday. We can go today.
So,
Second.
We gotta
So
make
it's
sure
the
this room is
13th.
available too.
so that means the next one would be the 29th.
The 22nd.
We're
It's the
gonna
fourth.
skip it.
29th.
Second and fourth, but we're gonna say the 29th.
Yeah, the 29th.
Okay.
And then we'll start on this month, the second and the.
Okay.
Marty,
Just
we
kinda
need to make sure this room's available too.
Yeah.
Well, there's other meeting rooms, I mean, we can actually meet in there, we can meet in the workroom. This isn't, I mean, we have other options. We have TV in there, we have TV in there.
This is so prestigious to me to hear you.
So the room's not, that's okay, we can do that. And we could even move to City Hall if we needed to in the conference room. We have options for meeting rooms.
When we get it finalized, I'm sure Ms. Marty would be happy to let us all know.
We'll do that.
So, Joe, whenever you find out, let her know.
We'll do.
Alright, so
I
next.
don't think it'll be an issue.
Then we work on the budget.
Now's the work session. Do we have the information
We need to,
we need to work on the budget?
Can we just have a dartboard and some boards?
Because I figured a budget
I'm
conversation.
gonna make this easy, I'm gonna steal Joe's budget, so I'm gonna make copies for you.
Oh, is this blue and white?
Yes,
I have
and that's the advertising budget. Is
Yeah,
that
Yes.
what you're reviewing, or the
This
whole
is
budget?
the whole budget. I
That we
actually-
can't
oh.
change, we can't change this.
They wanted to
Well,
go
and
through
we've
line by
already-
line for
We've
I've
already
approved
approved
this
this.
as well, so I'm not sure what else we have.
I don't know what we're
What?
discussing.
I was told there needed to be a work session.
Oh my
This is
God,
idea.
you mean we might not have? I'm getting excited.
Yeah, we might be able to
Just skip it.
skip, so I think that we
Budget
were,
allocation.
what was supposed to happen was we were giving input to the full budget.
And it's already been
This was
accepted.
made without our input and we approved it, so.
Oh, you know what? Didn't he say something about going through each budget line and talking about what that actually might be?
I mean, I
And
just-
then in that case, we need Steve.
Yeah. Where's Steve?
who knows?
So like we have a budget, like a general budget item, right?
We can just play it by ear as we go along like we did today. Maybe it comes out of this line or this line.
Excuse me for.
It'll eventually work its way out. We'll know what it's coming out of.
And it's pretty lined out.
We did our recommendations. That's for you, Marty.
Yes.
So here are the big items that I see. So far, yeah, we have been rolling with what hits our desk for local arts and cultural programs and the local festival funding. So those are under art and cultural events. Grand total of $50K for both of those items. The other big one is maintenance, improvements, developments for recreational facilities and programs. That's $150 grand. That money will run away from us if we choose not to have a vote on it. People are gonna get their hands in that pot. Steve's got plenty of ideas, I'm sure, which are not to say that they're bad. I'm just saying if we want to recommend anything in there, that's something we might want.
Won't they have to come to us, though, for a recommendation out of that?
If it's over a certain amount. They're
I mean-
supposed to,
I mean, somebody can't just go in and say, well, that's their budget, because we're the advisory board, they need, just like anything
I mean, I'm
else.
sure council could do what they want.
I'm pretty sure that the city could
But I
say,
don't
And
I'd
if
say
they
we
wanna
were-
spend it all, let them spend it, you know, it's less us, less headache here, but I don't think they will. I think they'll still want, especially with her, you know, as an advisor of this board, it's gonna come back to us. Should,
Should.
and,
yeah, should.
Should.
So that's the other big chunk. There's a couple other little things that might warrant discussion, like kiosk and wayfinding signage. So it's like, we don't have to sit here right now and make those decisions, but
I don't know.
those are chunks of change that we probably want to have a voice on in general.
and if we just keep saying, insist, we need a voice, get Steve here and see what, you know, what he's thinking, and then tell him if we agree or not. But
Yeah.
Steve's gonna need to be in any discussion with that for us to have any teeth there.
Yeah, it would be good to have Steve. I also think that we could tackle them as their own agenda items. So, you know, we have dedicated time on the agenda to discuss the kiosks and wayfinding signage, line items there. And then another one where we could talk about recreational facilities and programs. And that one, we would probably want to have a co-meeting with Parks and Rec. So,
And you're after recreation director.
yeah, yep.
Parks and Rec,
Does he go to the Parks and Rec meetings?
we try to communicate with them on
Because
things.
I need to go to them.
It's disturbing that
We talked to
we
Donald
told them to come back.
about
They
money
usually give us
for
money for a
a
trade.
portion of that
Never
trail.
happened.
Right. he's talking
They also,
about-
they meet once a month
Yeah,
at best,
It's
so.
that needs to be a department.
like 10 grand.
I would suggest adding to your agenda, your next agenda, further discussion on those particular line items.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look to see if there's anything else that might warrant it. Most of it's covered by VistaWorks budget, which we've already been through.
Which ones did we want to discuss, Joe?
The Parks and Rec line item,
Yeah, recreational facilities and programs. And then art and cultural events, so that's some of the money that we spent today.
I'd also suggest your festival funding.
That's under that. And then potentially kiosks and wayfinding signage.
That's line item three.
That's line item under marketing, which I don't believe is in the VistaWorks stuff. It is not.
How is it going?
It's under
Yes,
marketing,
wait,
kiosks and wayfinding signage, 16 grand.
Yeah, it's not.
So yeah, that's one that will warrant some discussion.
Man, that could be used to match. Sorry.
That's still good.
Okay, so we're gonna have the next agenda discussion of line items, recreation facilities and programs, arts and cultural events, and kiosks and wayfinding. And that will be a discussion,
And request Steve be here officially.
So
Tell him he has to be here to spend his money.
Assuming he doesn't have conflicts.
and we already made our recommendations. So we're gonna put that work session we'll just put it on the next agenda. Anything else under that work session stuff? Last miscellaneous from board members, does anyone have anything?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you tell us where we are on the 420 festival?
So what I personally have been doing for the 420 Festival is reaching out to my vendors. So any of the companies that create products that I sell in my store, I have been calling up my representative for them and pretty much being like, hey, we got this going on. Please come and see us. It's hard to get them on the phone sometimes. I sent out quite a few emails. I've got a couple of them that said, yes, we'd love to come. Companies that said they can't make it, but they'll send me all the swag I want and hook me up with some samples beforehand if I need it. Just generally reaching out. Next step is I would like to go to local businesses. I kind of like to be careful with that. I don't want to make anybody angry. Like, hell no, you're not having to go here. You know, I don't know who would be offended by that.
It
So
doesn't
don't
matter,
want to
I'm
offend.
offended by something.
Yeah, just walk away.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
be like, this is something that's
Oh,
happening, you don't have to participate.
Yeah.
Say, okay, sorry
Hello,
about that.
thank you for your time, sorry to bother.
The real thing I'm looking at is it being organized. The event is-
Jack and Diane Brisbane from,
The Great Legion.
yes, we ended up having a meeting. The next day or so, I went to Steve's office and sat down with him and told him we needed to have a meeting so that everybody could be on the same page. Audra organized a meeting for the following week. We got together with quite a few people in town, stakeholders, the police station, city police, fire department, Jared Chadley was in there, a few of the owners of the local dispensaries were there. Quite a few people were on the Zoom call. I had a couple of representatives from Native Roots that had questions. Basically what it is Jack and Diane have an LLC that has this festival. They've been the primary organizers. We're supposed to have another meeting in a couple of weeks, is what they said. I'm probably gonna go touch base with them on that this week.
So right now, it's at the golf course,
It's at the golf course.
420.
No
On
sponsor, no
420.
sponsorship from the city.
No, the only thing, the city is, I don't think we're being charged for the golf course. Their projectors they're gonna let us use to put on the light show, like the in real life IRL, we're gonna do that out there. I'm not sure about the stage and equipment,
We got it out
where
here.
we're getting all that.
So it is gonna be in real life, Allstar is gonna do it?
No,
No,
we're just gonna use the
projectors. We're just using the projectors. I don't think Ostrac is doing it, just the projectors. I think we're gonna be putting like art from local dispensaries up. Food trucks, they're organizing food trucks, vendors, we want all kinds of vendors out there. There will be a consumption area, the old tennis court is because it's fenced in, and control who comes in and out. The whole thing will be 21 plus, and nobody will be allowed out there under the age of 21.
I understood there was also an alcohol,
Um,
separate alcohol
Yeah.
area.
I think inside the clubhouse, they'll have alcohol, I think it's a 2-drink limit. So they're only allowing like 2 drinks per person.
That's way too many.
Les Downs did speak with Med about what is happening. They're not thrilled. Alcohol and marijuana generally do not mix. They don't like when they're at the same events. It is very, very frowned upon. If anything causes us an issue, it would be that.
Just don't do the alcohol, I mean, that's the easy one.
Well, there's going to be alcohol. It's happened before. Like in Pueblo, the Juicy people have these events where inside the building there is a bar that's serving alcohol, and then outside is the consumption area on the patio. Now, again, these things are not sanctioned by Med does not choose them, like the Marijuana Enforcement Division, the marijuana police. They don't like it. They're gonna be there. They're gonna be walking around, they're gonna be seeing what's happening, they're gonna wanna know, that none of the vendors, like, I can't give away products. I can't sell marijuana products out there. I can sell my sweatshirts, my sweatpants and my pipes, but I can't sell any marijuana products.
Can I sell the guns?
No, we can't sell them, we can't give away, it's illegal.
You can't even give it away?
It's illegal for a marijuana business to give away marijuana.
But if I wanted-
We have to charge.
But if I wanted to give away some out there, I could.
A private person, they charge you a penny for that.
Oh, do they?
Yes. You get a penny pre-roll, you are charged a penny. But, what did you say? The way I was told was if a private person took products from their home and went to the consumption area and started handing them out, that is not, a gift is not illegal. I cannot send a representative out into the crowd to start handing out stuff.
Okay.
But, if one of my employees happened to have a bunch of pre-rolls on them and were there on their own time handing out pre-rolls, that's not going to do with me.
Or a friend. Or a
Force
friend.
it to be
Yeah.
there.
I got approached by one of the city council, because they, happened to approve, I guess the license or the, whatever it is, that would have to go out there. And, he wanted to know what I thought about all of it. And, I told him the great thing is that there's no alcohol. I didn't know that we were gonna have to have alcohol.
Well, I don't know we have to, but it's requested, and we will let them do what they want to do.
I will pass it on. But I'm not a.
I'm just gonna say, it's frowned upon, and I did have a couple of my dispensary people be like, I heard there's gonna be alcohol. And they're not too sure how they feel about that, but I don't think it'll stop anyone from participating, because they're all pretty excited about this, and this is kind of like a test run for responsible consumption. So that, if we can pull off this successful event, our next step as a cannabis community is to get that hospitality ordinance passed.
Whatever I can do to help, let me know.
Sure will, this is our test run. So,
I love that poster.
I really like it too, I'm gonna give it to, I didn't want to just pass it along without permission, but now they said I could, I'm gonna pass it on to Jack and Diane. So, hey, give it to these guys. Or should I connect with them, or should I connect?
No, you can
with
just share it,
Little
and
ditties.
then we'll figure out who's the one, et cetera.
That was all I had, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, so Chris kind of got at this was no city funding, right? Because she came to us.
She did come. However, I personally was thinking, that I would feel uncomfortable giving funds from a board that I'm the chair of to a marijuana festival. One, because I feel like they really don't need it. That we should be able to get the sponsorships that they need. Now, if they try to spend $35,000 on tents, do I think they'll get the sponsorship money they need? Probably not. But, they're not gonna come up with $35,000 for tents. But for the little bit, the bands, local bands, that kind of stuff, that we should be able to pull off with sponsorships. I know, my company has their legal team looking at it to see if we will participate. I'm hoping they say yes. They have been kind of leery of consumption events. Neighbors is one of those companies that really likes to play it safe. They make restrictive procedures and policies when they don't necessarily need to be that restrictive. But I don't know. I think they'll support me in this because I'm kind of maybe.
We just don't want to mess it up, you know, we want to do this test.
So the goal is to fund it through sponsorships, and I'm totally cool with that. You should tell them they need to get like a website up with basic information on how to be a vendor. People are asking about it on the internet, barely 2 months away, or barely over 2 months away.
Well, like Trinidad, the Trinidad app, that whole vendor thing, that you know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just,
Yeah, I trust me. Yes, I do. I didn't step up in time.
That's all good, yeah, I just-
I don't have the
we all try to
funding to do
a
it.
little pressure.
We started talking about a festival in October, but I don't have money and Native Roots didn't want to own it.
well, I thought the city originally was gonna own it, and then it kind of
The city can't own it.
why not?
Federal law still.
They get federal funding.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's not.
They get
damn,
federal
Biden
funding.
did it again, so.
No, it's very, marijuana laws are very convoluted and complicated, and there's a whole list of things that cannabis companies just can't participate
I
in.
would think it'd be safer for the vendors to get in that pot. If there are people come in and pass it out, that's how fentanyl kills people. That's how fentanyl gets out.
They don't want this. So it is, I mean, they're not gonna stop it because it's private property. I mean, it's leased by a private entity, and at least the way it was explained to me is that makes it like private property, as though a private event was like a wedding, just renting out a venue. That's how this is gonna be done. So they can't stop it from happening out there. But they can, like, there are laws against us giving products away and us selling products outside of
Well,
those.
that won't even be necessary to be money, right?
Yeah, people will bring. But we can give coupons, we can't, like, for instance, we have a wheel, you spin the wheel, and there's a coupon for like a penny eighth, or a penny half, or a penny pre-roll, depending on where you land. So we can do things like that, to send them to the store, fix them up, for a penny. But we can't give it away for free.
Can we proceed?
Yes. Anything else for miscellaneous? No. Discussion of the agenda for 227, I have some items listed.
Are we gonna do 27 or 29?
Oh, the 29th, it's on here, it's 27th, but I'm changing it to 29th. Okay. So far I have discussion of content creator. So if you know anybody, I have a couple of people in mind that might be interested in something like that.
They did too.
Some good outdoor recreation folks that are out and about in the city of
Yeah, I
Rock.
recommend myself, but I think it's important.
No, I would too, I can take that picture.
For the right city.
There is a meeting in this room on Thursday, the 29th. What time? Union Canyon, 9:30, and it lasts 2.5 hours. So they won't be done until noon. But we, like I said, we can meet in there, we can meet in the workroom.
There's a little table over here.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're good.
okay.
We're still waiting to hear the confirmation that they're joining us that.
Yeah, it should be on that.
So content creator was one of them. Marketing budget for funding requests. So we wanted to discuss how much marketing would spend on each funding, like for Main Street Live or A.R. Mitchell. You know, we're gonna say, oh, you can work with them on advertising, but stop at this amount. So we're gonna talk about what that amount would be. Also have discussion of line items, the recreation facilities and programming, art, cultural events, and kiosk and wayfinding.
I think you should keep updates from Vista Works on your agenda for each.
Yeah, also, approval of minutes, which,
I forgot it.
let me just rewind real quick. And motion to approve the minutes from our January 30th.
Any second? Did you second? Okay, all in favor?
Did we have printed minutes?
I didn't have it on there. I copied an old one.
I haven't seen the printed minutes.
Weekender.
Oh, they're not printed, they're on the share.
How can we approve if we have?
Share.
Everybody has access to this. I've been
I'll print
printing
it for
minutes
you.
out.
We'll get it printed for
I'll
next
print
time.
I'll approve it if y'all say it was cool.
That's
It was
where I
good.
go to find
It was
my
cool.
agenda items.
You were here, I didn't put anything, I didn't see anything.
Okay. I'm not.
Chris is a doofus, is that what
Yeah.
you put on there?
Approved.
Approved.
I won't approve that.
Okay, that's all I had on here for that.
Weekender. We don't want
Oh.
to just rediscuss
Okay,
weekender.
the weekend.
Um,
So that's an action item for me.
yes, update on weekend.
I'll also send to the board the discussion deck with Vista Works.
Yes. And of course, if anybody thinks of anything else that they'd like to put on the agenda, please let me know.
Let's leave day.
Yes.
I also have the draft format for report to council, get to you and schedule a time to meet with you.
That's not gonna be on the next agenda.
No, it's not on the agenda, I'm just going over action
Okay,
items.
yeah, oh, for, yeah, yes, yes. Ashley,
And probably website again.
I will keep an eye on it.
Invite her to the meeting too.
She is currently on vacation today. Next meeting, I think she'll be back up.
She was in her office at the last meeting.
so website updates. Okay. Yes, just send me an email a couple of times so I can copy it.
Couple times, if I remember the rest.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Anybody second that?
Second.
All for adjournment, say aye.
Woohoo!
Bye.
Aye. Jason?
Yep.
All right, we're good to go. Thank you guys.